there are people with such a knowledge, such understanding of deen, that great muhaddiseen, great fuqaha, great mufassireen and mujaddideen would always trust those people for their knowledge and for following the ahkam of the Sharia of Islam. If you ask Imam Muslim rahimahullah that you are such a great muhaddis, when you want to follow any of the orders of the Sharia, how do you determine what to do and how to do it? How do you determine the hukum and the ruling of it? If it is wajib, sunnah, mustahab, makruh, haram, how do you make these determinations? How do you follow the Sharia and the orders of the Sharia? Of course, a person like us would expect that Imam Muslim would say, don't you see my book? What a great book that I have written. Such a great book that people are disputing if this is more authentic than Bukhari or Bukhari is more authentic than Muslim. A well-known muhaddis. But surprisingly, the reply comes from Imam Muslim rahimahullah that in spite of writing all of these hadiths and knowing much more than this, when a ruling of the Sharia comes up, I do not use my own understanding on it. I do not just have my own reasoning behind it. I always go to a person with the name Muhammad bin Idris, and I ask him the ruling and the fatwa about it. Whatever he tells me, I follow that. Subhanallah. A person like Imam Muslim, he says, I always follow Muhammad bin Idris. And whenever an issue of the Sharia comes up, I may narrate the hadith to him, but whatever he tells me, I follow that. I trust his knowledge, and I trust his understanding of the hadith, that he has more and better understanding than I do. Although I memorize the wordings of it, but he has a better understanding than I do. Another person at the same time, of the same level of Imam Muslim, he's as great muhaddis as almost Imam Muslim. So we go and ask him, what do you do? And that is Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah, the author of Sunnah al-Tirmidhi, one of the 6 authentic books of Hadith. What do you do when a ruling of Sharia comes up? You are a student of Imam Bukhari, and such a student that Imam Bukhari used to say that I learned from Imam Tirmidhi more than what he have learned from me. He was a student. Imam Tirmidhi is a student of Imam Bukhari, but Imam Bukhari says, I learned from him more than what he has learned from me. So we ask him, what do you do when a ruling of Sharia comes up? When you want to do something about the ahkam of the Sharia? And his reply is the same. He says, I go and ask Muhammad bin Idris. Whatever Muhammad bin Idris tells me, I do that. I trust his knowledge. I trust his understanding. Then you go and ask Imam Suyuti rahimahullah, a person who's known that he has written books about every field of Sharia. And especially when it comes to ulum al-Quran. He is well known in that, because any book written on the sciences of Quran, they will always refer to Al-Itqan, which is written by Imam Jalaluddin al-Suyuti rahimahullah. Then his tafsir is well-known tafsir. On top of that, a person who did such a book of hadith, such a work of hadith, that he tried to collect all the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, did not succeed. And then a person followed up with that work who was originally from India, Imam Ali al-Muttaqi rahimahullah. And then Imam Suyuti's book was known as Jam' al-Jawami'. And Imam Ali al-Muttaqi, when he completed that work, he called it Kanz al-Ummal, that has more than 46,000 hadiths in it. It still is not complete. So we ask Imam Suyuti, when a ruling of Sharia comes up, and you want to determine about something if it is allowed or not, what do you do? He says, I go to Muhammad bin Idris and I ask him the fatwa. Subhanallah. Again, why don't you make your own determination? He says, no, no, no. I'm not of that level yet. I'm not of that level yet. I don't trust myself for that. I'm not on the level of ijtihad. You are not on the level of ijtihad? You wrote Al-Itqan, you wrote Jalalain, you wrote Jam' al-Jawami, and name the books in every field of Islamic sciences. There will be something written by Imam Suyuti. And he says, no, I'm not a mujtahid. For that, I go to Muhammad bin Idris. Imam Bayhaqi, his book of hadith is well known, Sunan al-Bayhaqi. Imam Ibn Kathir, his book of tafsir is well known. Imam Nawawi, his work on the hadith. Imam Hafiz ibn Hajar rahimahullah, his work of hadith. Well-known scholars of Islam. You ask all of them, what do you do when a ruling of Sharia comes up? The same reply you are getting from all of these names that I have just mentioned, that we go back to Muhammad bin Idris. And we ask him his opinion, whatever he tells us, we follow that.